I've just returned from P&O's 3-night activation cruise on board Pacific Explorer, and before she set sail on her first guest cruise on the 31st of May, I thought I'd very quickly share some of my thoughts and tips. I'm Adrian, the Cruise and Travel Guy. As always, thank you for subscribing to my channel, and if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. Now that cruising has officially returned to Australia, I thought I would break down some of the things that you should know before going on your P&O cruise. P&O launched a new app only a few weeks ago, and we had a good chance to test it out on the activation cruise. The app is your go-to onboard guide for what's on around the ship. Plus, you can review the deck plans, find out opening hours for the different facilities, and review your onboard spending. The app also allows you to book any of the restaurants on board for dinners and lunches, depending on their hours. It looks like online ordering from Charlie's Bar and New Zealand Ice Cream will be available soon, but it wasn't functional during our cruise. The app also allows you to chat with your fellow guests via the ship's Wi-Fi connection. You don't need to purchase the internet to use the app, but you'll then only be able to use the facilities of the app and not use any external websites or messaging platforms like social media apps. The app also doubles as your boarding pass. Once you've completed all of the check-in steps on the P&O Cruise Control website, including uploading a photo of yourself, you simply check the app and your boarding pass will appear with a green tick, meaning you're good to go. If you have multiple guests on the one booking, be aware that your app, even if it is your individual app, may show everyone's boarding pass and you can swipe through them. So just be very careful that when you're going to scan yourself to check in for the cruise or to board the cruise, that you actually are displaying your own boarding pass, not like me. There's also a digital version of your cruise card in the app that you can use to make purchases on board. I just found it easier to use my physical cruise card. You'll also do most of the card scanning yourself, with bars and shops utilizing a card reader that can be used by the guest. P&O now use a third-party app called VeriFLY for their health questionnaire, and it's also the place where you'll upload proof of vaccination and your negative test result before the voyage. Within 24 hours of departure, you can record the result of your self-administered rapid antigen test within the app, but you must do that no later than 6 AM on the day of departure. If you opt for a PCR test instead, you can record those results in the VeriFLY app up to 72 hours before departure. At the terminal, you'll drop off any large suitcases with the porters at the pier, and if you haven't printed off your luggage tag, fear not. You can complete one at the pier by writing down your cabin number and name, and they'll attach that to your suitcase for you. At the entrance to the check-in hall, you'll show your P&O boarding pass either from your phone or a printed version, making sure to highlight that you have the green tick. The green tick will indicate that you have completed the check-in process via the cruise control website, and will mean that you'll have a more speedy trip through the check-in hall. Once inside, you'll make your way to a check-in agent where they'll scan your boarding pass and complete the check-in process using their tablet. It's a fairly straightforward process. If the photo that you uploaded to the cruise control website is not good enough, they'll take another photo of you on the spot. The agent will also check your VeriFLY app and make sure that it's all been completed correctly. Our agent had a couple of tech issues with their tablet, so the process did take a little bit longer than it should have, but ordinarily it will be quite speedy if you have all of your documentation or apps ready to go. Don't forget that you'll also need to show your physical ID, whether that is a government issued ID for a domestic cruise like a license, or your passport for a cruise that calls in at an international destination. Once checked in, it was straight through security and onto the ship, and our cruise cards were waiting for us at the cabin. Lots of you are understandably asking questions about masks. So masks are definitely required all the time during embarkation and disembarkation when you're in the terminal. Once on board the ship, masks are only required in the Marquee Theatre and the Black Circus show lounge. You can take the masks off to eat and drink in those locations, but then you'll need to put them back once you're done. In other places around the ship, masks are only recommended indoors, but not required. The essence being that if you can't socially distance, then you should be wearing a mask. In particular, one of those places would be the elevators. There are masks provided for you in your cabin, so if you do lose one, they will replace it for you. They were also available at the entrance to the Marquee Theatre and the Black Circus. Long gone are the days of crowded muster drills, and in what I consider to be a bit of an improvement, all you have to do now is on the day of embarkation before sail away, go to your muster station at any time. There will be crew members there. They'll scan your cruise card, and then that is you physically attending your muster station so that you are aware of where you have to go in the event of an emergency. You then need to watch the demonstration on your stateroom television. The TV is set to that channel on a loop, so you just basically need to watch that, make sure that you're aware of what you would need to do in the case of an emergency, and then closer to sail away, there will be a PA announcement made. The captain will sound the emergency bell so that you know what to listen out for if something does happen. And during that time, the venues like bars and facilities and services will be stopped, but you can stay wherever you are. So I, for the first time, enjoyed muster sitting in the adults only Oasis holding a cocktail, which wasn't a bad way to do it at all. You are also not required to bring your life jacket with you to any of these venues. Linking a credit card to your account via cruise control on the P&O website is the easiest way to take care of your onboard expenses. P&O will provide you with a statement at the end of the cruise that details all purchases made to your cruise card folio. Expenses are charged to your credit card daily as opposed to in one lump sum at the end of the cruise. You can also choose to add cash to your onboard account if you don't want to use a credit card. FPOS machines are available on the ship for you to withdraw additional cash reserves, and then you can add this to your account at the reception desk. All over the ship, cleaning was taking place constantly. I noticed crew members sanitizing surfaces and high-touch surfaces in particular all the time, including railings, the elevators, and even the door handles. Hand wash bays and sanitizer are available at the entrance to the pantry, and sanitizer itself is available pretty much all over the ship, including at the bars. On board Pacific Explorer, there are Australian outlets and US-style outlets. My standard balcony cabin had one Australian outlet behind the television and two US outlets, one on the vanity and one under the small corridor shelf. I recommend you bring a US power adapter if you require more than one outlet. There is a USB panel now installed in the rooms with 4 USB-A style outlets that makes charging devices much easier than before. Pool towels are of course provided for your use on board. In the past, pool towels were generally available on the pool deck only, but today you'll find them in your stateroom. You can request clean pool towels from your room steward if you need them. You can use the towels on the ship and off, but must return them to your stateroom at the end of the cruise or on the gangway at the end of the cruise to prevent being charged for a replacement towel. Packaged robes were in the room on day one, but beware that if you open that robe, you will be charged for it. You open it, you bought it. From memory, it was about $29. On day one of my tips is to actually enjoy lunch in the waterfront dining room. The dining room is open for lunch on day one, and it's a nice way to have a sit down and a relaxed meal in an environment that's a little bit calmer than the rest of the ship. It's also nice if you've had a bit of a rushed morning to just sit down, take a load off, and enjoy a meal without having to worry about anything else. One of the other things that I recommend you do on day one is go get yourself a cocktail and walk around the ship. Go and explore all of the bars, the lounges, the venues, get a good sense of it, and you can get your bearings pretty quickly, and that will make for a more easy transition into cruise life on the next day or two. Though things like temperature are very subjective, I myself found it very warm on board, even though it was cooler outside. So I do recommend that you bring clothing that you can easily layer. If you do need to go inside or out, you can either quickly add something or take it off. I found it was quite warm indoors in certain places and would get hot if I was overdressed. In the cabin bathroom, there is complimentary body wash, shampoo and conditioner, and a liquid hand wash, which makes a nice change from those awful tiny cakes of soap. On the last night of the cruise, any suitcases you wish to have taken off for you will need to be left outside of your stateroom door by around about 8 p.m. Bring a backpack or hand luggage with you. That way, that night and the next morning, you have a place to keep a fresh change of clothes and toiletries ready to depart the ship on the last morning. Well, that's about it. I've tried to cover the main things that I can think of based on my experience on board over the past few days. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going back on board tomorrow, and I'm sure I'm going to see a few of you there as well. Feel free to say hello, And I am so glad that cruising is back. So if you are interested in booking something, you can head to my website, thecruiseandtravelguy.com.au. If you haven't done so already, give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram at The Cruise and Travel Guy. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. At the terminal, you'll drop off any large suitcases with the porters, and if you haven't pretended, but you'll be able to get through a lot quicker if you do that stuff at home. But after that, it was fairly straightforward. We went straight through the security. You need to leave them outside of your stateroom door by around about 8 p.m. the night before